Syracuse is 7-0 to start the spring season, but all those wins were in non-conference play. The Orange opened the ACC slate with the perennial power, the reigning conference champs, number 3, North Carolina. Ian Nicholas alongside Riley Underwood from Drumlins. Thanks so much for joining us. Riley, third best team in the country for the Tar Heels, but they already have 3 losses. How does that add up?
I mean, those 3 losses are a little bit deceiving because all 3 of them are against top 5 teams in the country. They face a really tough non-conference schedule going into ACC play.
Yeah, the ITA National Indoor Championship is where they picked up those last 2 losses. Now they start ACC play, and they are powered by arguably the best player in the country, and Reese Brantmeyer.
Reese Brantmeyer is playing like the best player in the country. Just a pure talent, and she's playing the best tennis of her career. She's won 5 straight singles matches, including wins against the first and third ranked players in the country. She just commands the court, and the veteran on this squad, that's Carson Tangalake. She's been through it all. 3-time All-American, the only player in North Carolina history to make the NCAA singles and doubles tournaments all 4 years. She's the leader for this Tar Heels squad, but she's lost 2 straight singles. This would be a good chance for her to bounce back.
Yeah, only 2 seniors on this whole Tar Heels team. Syracuse has a strong senior as well, and that's Miyuka Komodo.
Miyuka Komodo is built for matches like this one today. She beat a top 3 player from NC State last year, and the year before that, she took down Abby Ford from North Carolina in their national championship year. This would be a great time to put another storyline on her senior season. One of the star transfers, Nelly Knezkova from Hawaii. She's come into Syracuse and has proven herself as one of the best on the team. She's played a lot of that number 1 spot too, with Komodo battling injury. She plays really aggressive, which could help her today going up against the number 3 team in the country.
Tar Heels shot up 4 spots in the rankings this past week to move up to number 3. Before we get going between UNC and Syracuse, we show you the match format. It's a best of 7 points. 3 doubles matches are played first, followed by 6 singles matches. There is no advantage, and if a set is tied at 6, there is a 7-point tiebreak. We will start with doubles, and UNC is loaded on that front, including Riley, the number 3 doubles pairing in the country, which is playing over on court 2.
Right, so the number 3 team in the country is playing at the number 2 double spot, but the number 1 doubles team isn't anything to laugh about. They're number 15 in the country, and they're true doubles players. Just the way the rankings have shaken out with Reese Brantmeyer being out a lot of the fall. Some of that rankings have slipped because of that, but both those top two teams are really some of the best in the country.
And we're going to start on the number 1 doubles court. We already highlighted Miyuka Komodo. She's up at the net. And from the service line, it's Anastasia Sisaweva, the junior, her 2nd season with Syracuse. And Riley, what do you like most about this pairing for Eunice Lamam, Komodo up front and Sisaweva in the back?
Well, it's really that Anastasia Sisaweva is so good at playing the back line, and Miyuka Komodo is so good at the net. So Sisaweva is more of the setter in doubles, and how if they like it, good point, Komodo is going to be the finisher.
Sisaweva, a 6-1 record in doubles play this year. You could see on the UNC side in the long black leg sleeve on her right leg, Reese Brantmeyer. Her and her partner, Alanis Hamilton, make up the number 15 ranked doubles pairing in the country.
Did get that toss just a little bit higher on that one. Didn't work that out early in the match.
Good call from Sisaweva as Syracuse takes its first lead on number 1 doubles, and they're going to need to be perfect to take down that UNC duo.
Brantmeyer and Hamilton, they're really good on the singles court, but they're probably even better on the doubles side. I mean, Coach Brian Calvis said these 2 players are true doubles players. That's when they're at their best, and they have a good matchup. You know, this one sails out. Syracuse off to an early lead in the first game.
And UNC has struggled away from Chapel Hill this year. Not saying this number 1 doubles match is going to turn early, but Tar Heels 7-3 on the year, only 2-3 away from home. That includes neutral site competition. UNC, Riley, just got a week off up and down at the ITA Indoor Championship.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Pepperdine, but then they lose to Virginia and Auburn. Those are two really good teams. They were in Evanston, Illinois for that tournament. And Brian Calvis makes the schedule for North Carolina. He says he plans to play in that tournament every year, and he likes to get a break because it's back-to-back. Physically and mentally exhausting. They didn't really play their best tennis in that tournament, but he said it was good to get a week off and a break before starting true conference play.
First match in 12 days for the Tar Heels since losing to Auburn, number 4 Auburn team. Syracuse just won on Sunday at home against Columbia. Sisueva's backhand does not make it over the net. So it's Brantmeyer and Hamilton out to the early lead on the number 1 doubles court. UNC shot itself in the foot, but Syracuse could not take advantage.
That one turned very quickly. It looked like Syracuse had a chance to really have it in the bag, and it was a good shot by Miyuka Komodo there. Brantmeyer got there just in time. Sisueva just a little off balance. Goes into the net.
What do you think those who just talked about before getting right back out on the court against the number 15 doubles pairing in the country?
I think he said you got to play the ball. If we know anything about this team, it's that they're not really worried about facing the rankings, even though it's hard to ignore when you're going up against a top 3 team in the country.
So Brantmeyer and Hamilton take the first set here on the number 1 doubles court, and on the other 2 courts as well. 1 point for Syracuse and 1 for UNC. So the first set taken 2 out of 3 by the Tar Heels so far in doubles play. Mistimed up front by Hamilton, the freshman, playing alongside the junior Brantmeyer. And you can see that right leg sleeve on Brantmeyer, Riley. She's really rounding in the form, but that was not the case early in the season, working off a torn meniscus.
Yeah, she wasn't really cleared to do much of anything until the fall season ended. Her first real competitive match was the first meeting between North Carolina and Virginia, and she really didn't handle that well. I mean, just a straight quote from head coach Brian Calvis. Just said she didn't handle the situation well just because she was so rusty. She's gotten better since then. I mean, she's rung off 5 straight victories. She's gotten it back. That first one before just was missed communication between the two. In Alanis Hamilton, this is her 2nd month in college. She enrolled in January, graduated high school early. So to be playing at this level so quickly, it's a pretty fast transition.
Hamilton off to the left, talking things over with Brantmeyer, top 10 recruit out of the Dallas area, as she makes her way up towards the net. It all starts with the doubles point, and if Syracuse wants to try to pull off what would be an unbelievable upset against the number 3 team in the country in North Carolina, they need success in doubles.
Nice return from Hamilton.
But Miyuka Komodo takes over, and like we highlighted pre-match, Riley, these are the kinds of duels that she really gets up for.
It's the big moments, it's the big duels, and that is just a beautiful shot in the corner, and then she just finishes it off. But then Hamilton with a great return. When you're slamming the ball, you want to go right at the opponent's feet, and that's what she did, but just a great return by Alanis Hamilton. Brantmeyer has a real nice spin serve, too.
Number 10 ranked singles player in the country. Very talented.
That was nice.
Threads the needle on the alley. And 2-0 for Brantmeyer and Hamilton here on the number 1 doubles.
That backhand right on the line. Beautiful shot from Reese Brantmeyer. Number 1 recruit in the country when she came out of high school. She's lived up to it so far, and just a point like that just shows you the precision that you have to complete that shot on your own side.
Komodo across the court, getting her and Anastasia Sisaweva on the board, trying to swing the momentum back their way.
Sure thing. Syracuse answers right back. Down the line, shot, no one's there. Brantmeyer's just cheating in a little bit toward the center of the court. Komodo recognized that and took advantage.
Komodo, one of her best tools, Riley, is that serve.
Puts pressure on the returners. Make a play.
Brantmeyer returned it, and Komodo could not respond to tie things up. 2-1 for Susanna Maltby and Carson Tangillig in their doubles matchup. UNC in front on one of the other doubles courts, and a set apiece on doubles court number 3.
Komodo doing all the work, all the running on that one. North Carolina was in control that whole point.
Doesn't feel like we've talked too much about Sisaweva yet. And now she's playing up front where she's not as comfortable.
Another good serve from Yuka Komodo.
Where do you think she's at right now? A senior who is Syracuse's best player in Komodo, but still dealing with some off-season injury issues that have lingered into the spring.
It's just a tough situation to be in, Ian. I mean, when you come out of the off-season with a pretty bad leg injury and then you have an injury on your dominant arm, it's just tough. I mean, but she's battled through it. She had a couple matches off earlier. Nelly Knezkova took over in that #1 spot, as that is just a beautiful lob shot over the head of Brantmeyer right on the line. But for Yuka Komodo, I mean, she's battled through it, and for her senior season, just to make shots like that in a big game, she wants to play, she wants to be out there. Just a great shot. Right over the head of Brantmeyer, who's pretty lengthy. So it's hard to get that up and over and still stay in the court.
Brantmeyer at 5'7", and her partner Hamilton 5'10".
Komodo on the other side, 5'3".
Komodo on the move and cannot return that Hamilton volley. So 40-40. As these two are starting to hit their groove. A junior, one of the most established players in the country in Brantmeyer, and then, like you alluded to, a freshman in Hamilton that just joined the collegiate ranks a little over a month ago. But it just looks like they kind of build them out of the lab. I mean, these are consistently top 10 recruits every year. And that's just how UNC does it.
This your first serve, puts a lot of pressure on the second, especially in a deuce situation like this.
Just wide from Komodo. All UNC on the #1 doubles court.
I mean, Syracuse has kept these matches close. It's just the finishing off just hasn't been able to do it. I mean, that's a smart shot if you're Yuka Komodo. I mean, try to finish them off early. She knows that Brantmeyer is going to have a good return if she returns across court. Her plan was to just try to hit it down the line, which had worked in previous points, just a little bit wide.
So Syracuse a chance to reset. As they have not finished the deal ever against Carolina to go big picture. 14-0, the all-time series between these two teams in Carolina's favor. This is the #2 doubles court. For Syracuse on the near side of your screen, it's Nelly Knezkova and Shiori Ito. On the other side for Carolina, Susanna Maltby and Carson Tangillig. And if you're a college tennis fan, Riley, you know who that Tar Heel is in the visor.
One of the best on this team. Just a leader. I mean, just what North Carolina program has accomplished in these past few years. She's been there for all of it. She was there for the national championship. She's been there for the ACC championships. I mean, she just leads by example. Coach said she works hard. They're day in and day out, and just raves about her as a representative of the squad too, besides being one of the best players in the country.
And right now, it's a close battle between Tangillig and Maltby against Shiori Ito and Nelly Knezkova. What do you like about this UNC pairing? Another kind of veteran paired up with a younger player, and Tangillig, the senior, and then an underclassman alongside her.
Well, it goes back to the leadership. I mean, Tangillig is great at leading Maltby. I mean, they've just meshed quickly and become just a great team. They've won 4 straight doubles matches, and I think it's just the camaraderie that comes with it, and this team seems to have it. I mean, a lot of times when you get those top recruits, egos can clash. There's best players all in the room. You're not the best player on your team anymore like high school. And with North Carolina, it just doesn't really seem to happen.
Well, they made it happen in that game. It's 3-2 here in the first set as Maltby on the left and Tangillig on the right get a breather. Going back and forth with Shiori Ito and Nelly Knezkova for Syracuse. Both of these teams fighting for the doubles point. And after catching a quick glimpse of what we've seen so far here on this #2 doubles court, Riley, how have Ito and Knezkova competed with the #3 doubles pairing in the country?
They've competed well. They haven't lost a doubles match. They haven't lost a doubles match, this whole year. So I don't think that they're going to try to lose that streak in this one, even though it is their hardest test so far. They've competed. They've kept it close, 3-2. That's a good position you're in when you're switching sides of the court.
For the first time, we show you the third of 3 doubles pairings this afternoon. For Syracuse on the near side, it is Serafima Shastova and Monika Wojcik.
Nice shot.
On the far side for Carolina, it's Tatum Evans, the sophomore, and Thea Radman, another second year. Get one
Down
more
the
look.
line.
Yeah.
Cross court, and then gonna finish it off. I think North Carolina may have thought that was out, but yeah, North Carolina did call it out actually, but then the line judge said nope, that one was in.
A friendly Syracuse spot and a friendly start for the Orange. 3-1 in this first set for Syracuse. And this is, again, another nationally ranked doubles pairing that they face. Eunice Lamam, the head coach of the Orange, knows it, and he's going to make sure whatever he sees, he conveys to his players.
I was talking to head coach Eunice Lamam earlier this week. Said, no, you've never beat this team. Syracuse is 0-14 all-time versus North Carolina. They're #3 team in the country. How are you going to beat them? He said, you just got to start off, got to make them uncomfortable. That all starts with the doubles point, because that sets the tone. Even though it's 1 point, the singles ones are 1 apiece. It starts by making them uncomfortable, and if you go up 1-0 going into singles, that sets the tone because now you're playing ahead rather than behind.
Syracuse playing from in front so far on #3 doubles. But that one sails wide of the end line. We talked about Coach Lamam. When you think of Syracuse tennis, you think of him. 11 seasons at the helm. 2 of the last 3 years, Riley, a perfect start in non-conference play. But he even has admitted it. They need to be more competitive in the ACC. And that's not easy when you've got teams like Carolina on the other side.
And you get off to these strong starts. And I think that's a strategy that they go in because they schedule these maybe a little bit easier opponents just to start off on the right foot, because the ACC is so competitive in tennis when you're looking at forward to NCAA tournament seedings and trying to get into that. But Coach Lamam, he knows what he's doing. He's led the Orange to their only 4 NCAA tournament appearances. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. Just getting low on that ball. Good back and forth between those two players, and Syracuse just comes back out on top. But that cross-court rally was pretty nice.
The final touch from Wojcik up front for Syracuse. And there's Shastova with the forehand. The backhand from Shastova, no response as Rabman, a lot of velocity coming off her racket. She's playing far side for UNC. Now the near side, it's Susanna Maltby. 2 underclassmen, 2 of the 7 on this UNC Tar Heels team that pretty much had to start anew, Riley, after winning the ACC title last year.
7 of these 10 players on the Tar Heel squad, this is their first time in Syracuse. So it's Drumlin is a new venue for them. You're Radman from Long Island, Port Washington, New York.
Only New Yorker, I guess you could say, on this 10-woman Tar Heels team, albeit that's 4 or 5 hours downstate. 4 games to 1 in this first set on number 3 doubles. Eunice Lamam has got to be happy with what a couple of his younger players are putting together in Wojcik and Shastova. We'll go back over to court 3. That is our number 1 doubles pairing. You got to win 2 out of the 3 doubles matches to secure the singular doubles point. And this one currently being dominated by Carolina. It's just about to resume. Brantmeyer and Hamilton for UNC. They lead 4 games to 1 in this first set against Sisueva and Komodo for the Orange. The number 15 doubles pairing in the country in the Carolina blue. And Brantmeyer, the multi-time All-American, and Hamilton, a top 10 recruit in her class, who's playing up at the net. And she made that look pretty easy.
That was quite the sweet finish. Just can't help but just laugh, smile and laugh afterwards. Was it really that easy? Yeah, it was. Hit it right to her. Slams it in the ground. Starts it off, 15 left.
It's a good group, and yeah, I know you already mentioned that when we talked to longtime UNC head coach Brian Calbis earlier this week. You know, he has to coach this group a lot compared to the veteran class that won the national championship just 2 years ago for UNC, but he does like what they're building. I know it's not they're number 3 team in the country. They're not rebuilding, but in terms of their personnel, they are.
Right. I mean, he said this is a team that he does get to coach more, and he says, oh, we're not expected to win. Well, I mean, you're the number 3 team in the country. North Carolina coming off ACC championship last year and national championship 2 years ago. But for them, this is the year where they have the more inexperienced players. And he does get to coach more, which he says he enjoys. That's why he got into coaching. That's why he stayed here so long. The winningest active head coach in college tennis. One of the best ever doing.
3rd most wins in college tennis history. Nearly 780 for Calbis across over 3 decades of work, the last 22 years with Carolina. So it's 4 games to 1, number 1 doubles. UNC in front of Syracuse. And the Tar Heels also in control of this game as well, 40-15.
Had a lot of spin on it.
Now 5 games to 1 for Brantmeyer and Hamilton, the number 15 doubles pairing nationally. All 3 of these Carolina duos are nationally ranked. And like you said, Riley, although Syracuse picked up a good win against Columbia on Sunday, that's a team just outside the top 60 in the country. I mean, that is nowhere close to the competition that Carolina brings in the Drumlins.
North Carolina, I mean, they schedule hard. They schedule hard. Mentioned earlier, all 3 of their losses are to top 5 teams in the country. Most programs don't even face a top 5 team in the country their whole year. So to do that, to compete when you're going into ACC play, it's really 2 different strategies between Syracuse and North Carolina. Do you try to get warmed up first, or do you just kind of throw it into the fire and say, this is what we need to do and this is who we need to beat if we're going to be the best. It's two different strategies. It's worked well for both programs, at least this year.
It's a UNC team that, has one of, if not the best win in the country all year. Earlier this month, went down to Athens, Georgia, took down #1 UGA. Had a couple setbacks at the ITA indoors, but that's a pretty competitive field too. Hamilton's backhand gets the job done. UNC pulling ahead in this game. And the Tar Heel duo 5-1 here in the #1 doubles court.
In that ITA tournament, the only game that North Carolina won was against Pepperdine, but that was the only game that Brant Meyer and Hamilton have lost this season in doubles.
Yeah, Brant Meyer 8-1, and Hamilton an identical 8-1 record in doubles play this year. And that's a solid Pepperdine team too, if you're not familiar, out on the West Coast. Number 25 in the country. Syracuse, meanwhile, in the ITA rankings this week at number 32. UNC completely out of system. And Syracuse takes advantage.
A nice job by Anastasia Sisaweva, kind of gliding over from her spot at the neck, going to the opposite side of the court and just putting it away.
And a bit of a role reversal for her too, because Komodo, the best player on this orange team, she's the finisher.
Right. When you're playing doubles though, you got to do both. Another nice shot there, the net. Good judgment from Yuka Komodo to watch that one going out.
Yeah, I would duck too. If that ball was flying towards my head.
But that's tough to judge. I mean, when it's going that hard, you're not sure is it going in, it's going out. It's kind of hard to hold back because it's a split-second decision. Ended up being the right one. It's been here for a while. Good instincts.
Deuce and Komodo taking her time before serving it up. No return from Hamilton, and Syracuse takes the game on the #1 doubles court 5-2 in this first set.
Well, it's interesting that they chose to do that because since we're playing without advantage scoring, the return team gets to choose which side that they serve to. So they picked that they wanted Hamilton to return. It just goes into the net.
Back over to the #3 doubles court, as that decision pays off for Syracuse. On the near side for the Tar Heels, it's Tatum Evans and Thea Radman. And for Syracuse, it's Serafima Shastova and Monica Wojcik, who are in front 5-1 here in the first set. And you'll take anything you can get against Carolina. We told you the record. UNC has never lost to Syracuse. But every time these two meet, it is pure dominance from the Tar Heels, who have only dropped 2 points in their last 4 duels against Syracuse.
26-2 points. It's pretty one-sided.
But like you said, this is a bit of a more competitive orange group this year. At least that's what they showed in non-conference play.
Yuka Komodo had the only point in their last 2 matchups when she beat Abby Forbes in singles 2 years ago.
And the interesting part about how last year unfolded for Syracuse, they finished last season 10-11, just 4-9 in the conference. They did pick up a couple of surprising ranked victories, and they came here at Drumlins.
Even North Carolina State. I mean, it's beating a team like that who's ranked very high. It's just sometimes the Orange just show up in these big games. I mean, even if the record doesn't necessarily always show it, it does this year. But it's not a team that people just write off when you're coming to Drumlins because they seem to pull out and win in a lot of these ranked matchups.
Evans and Radman just struggling on the number 3 doubles court. Syracuse has came to play against the number 3 team in the country.
Taking a more conservative approach. Can't even get that return to go back. See both of them at the baseline just to try to force Syracuse to make mistakes. Don't want to get anything blown by you when you're up at the net.
That's back-to-back mental errors from Radman. And a strong spike at the net. 6 games to 1, number 3 doubles here in this first set.
Talk about setting the tone right there in your first doubles match to finish. Syracuse gets the win. North Carolina needs to win both of the remaining ones.
And you can see at the end there, 22nd year head man Brian Calbus probably did not expect a loss in doubles, given that all 3 of his pairings nationally ranked. But Carolina did pick up a win on the second doubles court. So it's now 1-1 overall in doubles. And to decide who gets the point, you can see on the left side of your screen, things just wrapped up between Reese Brantmeyer and Alanis Hamilton. They picked up the win. So you don't see that very often, completely on schedule, where all 3 courts, and although Syracuse did pick up the win in number 3 doubles, it doesn't matter because UNC picked up the wins on the number 1 and number 2 courts, which means that the Tar Heels get the doubles point, and on the duel, they go up 1-0.
So all the singles matches now will be worth 1 point apiece. But for now, North Carolina up 1-0 over Syracuse.
Syracuse playing from behind against the number 3 ranked team in the country. The Tar Heels trying to pick up a win away from Chapel Hill, and they start off strong. Even though they lose on number 3 doubles, they get it done on the number 1 and number 2 courts. We'll be back in just a few moments on ACC Network to tell you about the singles matchups today. Back from Drumlin's before singles play starts up. The doubles point went in favor of number 3 North Carolina. Before we get you to singles, though, let's send it to Riley Underwood with Syracuse head man Eunice Lamont.
Coach, Muka's been battling an injury. She's been battling through it. What can you tell me about her progress and how she's been going forward through it?
Yeah, Miyuka has been doing a very good job with her rehab and taking care of her arm. As far as we know, she's ready to go, and hopefully she will give it a good go.
Nellie's been playing some pretty good tennis recently. What do you hope to see out of her today?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like the same mentality. I think a lot of it is kind of being feisty out there, playing point in, point out, having that concentration for a long period of time, and if she does that, she's in good shape.
You've never beaten this team. How can Syracuse beat North Carolina?
Yeah, I mean, I think every day is a new day. I know that the team is super excited. I think they're looking forward to it, and the biggest thing is to play the ball, not to play the rankings, not to play the name or whatever, and I think if we do that, it should be a good match.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Syracuse did play the ball on the number 3 doubles court. That's where they picked up a victory. But on number 1 doubles, it was the Tar Heels who won 6 games to 2. And the duo of Hamilton and Brantmeyer getting it done for the Tar Heels. This was the number 3 doubles court where Syracuse did take care of business. Shastova, and there you see from the back, Wojcik picking up a 6-1 victory over Evans and Radman, a couple of highly touted underclassmen for Carolina, who made some mental errors that cost them. Syracuse actually ended up picking the first win in doubles play, but then moments later, bang, bang, other courts, Tar Heels take care of business, and they take the doubles point. So, Riley, it's 1-0 Tar Heels as we take a look at the singles pairings.
Yeah, I mean, Syracuse honestly started it off not too bad, especially when you're playing a team of this caliber. When you're looking at the singles pairings, there's a lot of good matchups. I think some of the most interesting ones are Miyuka Komodo and Reese Brantmeyer. That's just a clash of top talent. And then Anastasia Sisaweva, who's really struggled in singles recently, going up against Carson Tangillig, the senior, the veteran. She's lost 2 straight in singles as well. Someone's got to win.
Tangillig still ranked the number 32 singles player in the country, although her record is only 4-3. She has a chance to make a little bit of personal history this afternoon. Could pick up her 100th ever win in singles play up against Sisaweva, which, like you mentioned, the junior only 1-4 in singles play so far this season.
Tangillig has a chance to go back-to-back reaching these milestones because that doubles win was her 100th doubles win in her career as well.
She's done it all for Carolina since coming here out of Atlanta, Georgia 4 years ago. Helped them win a national championship 2 seasons ago, their first in program history. But it's her junior teammate Reese Brantmeyer on the far side of the court, matched up with Miyuka Komodo in number 1 singles. And it's Brantmeyer, the number 10 ranked singles player in the country. You're probably getting sick of me saying that, but it's just the fact that these Tar Heels from top to bottom are loaded, and nobody knows that better than the guy that you just talked to in Eunice Lamont.
You saw him, he cracked a little smile. He knows he hadn't beaten him. Maybe he has something up his sleeve. He was laughing a little bit, but as always, like he says, gotta play the ball. We're not playing the color of the uniform. We're not playing the logo or the player or the ranking or the number. Just playing the ball. That's all you gotta do.
You might not want to look in the direction and see that Carolina blue, but it's hard to miss it. Such a good color, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks nice.
I know you were giving Coach Calvis props for his outfit before the match.
Sure was, yeah. I need some gear. Yeah, that Carolina blue looks nice. I mean, all the teams, football, basketball, that's some of the best basketball jerseys, I think.
Just saw it inside the JMA Dome a week ago when Tar Heels came to town. And now the Tar Heels back in town on the women's tennis side of things. And Reese Brantmeyer, one of the best players in the sport, matched up with Miyuka Komodo, who in her own right, one of the best singles players in the country. When she's 100% in the preseason, was ranked within the top 25. But she fails to get off a serve on 2 tries. And Brantmeyer with a 40-15 lead here in the first game.
Brantmeyer ranked 10th in the country. Honestly, she should be ranked a little bit higher. Probably in the top 3, if we're being honest, if she had played in that fall season. Because how the rankings go for the individual, it takes into account the fall and spring seasons, which, of course, Brantmeyer was injured, did not play in the fall season, so she's played less matches than everyone, the 9 ahead of her.
A great rally there between Komodo and Brantmeyer. And Brantmeyer just missed the alley. So Komodo pulling closer. Eunice Lamam watching like a hawk from the side right there, and he got the chance to see that Brantmeyer error up close.
Yeah, that was pretty close, but just looked a little bit out. Komodo has a chance to take advantage of it. Backspin back-to-back. Those 2 shots.
Over the head, Brantmeyer goes as she is Komodo running.
This is a really good rally.
No returning that. Brantmeyer, in emphatic fashion, takes the first game here on number 1 singles, and I don't think there's anything you could say if you're Komodo after that.
Boy, that was a fun point to watch. Just back and forth. The number 1 players on both teams just going at it. Brantmeyer comes out on top. Komodo just left it a little bit short, opened it up. But how about the hustle from the senior? Just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, doesn't make a mistake, but forces Brant Meyer to make a play. She does.
Komodo, you talked to Coach Lamam about it, playing through injury, and Brant Meyer working her way back from a torn meniscus. But when these two are at their best, you get rallies like that. In order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And you said Brant Meyer, number 10 in the country in singles, might be an understatement. Earlier in the month, when UNC went on the road and beat UGA, she took down the number 1 singles player in the country at the time.
Right, Dasha Vidmanova beat her in 3 sets. The number 1 player ranked in the country, playing against the number 1 team. She just made that one look pretty easy. But Brant Meyer just seems to go out and win matches. Even if it's close, even if it's not so close, she comes out on top, disregarding that first loss against Virginia the first time those two teams met, which is interesting. They've played Virginia twice now. Neither of them have counted as Atlantic Coast Conference games because the first one, they're not scheduled to play Virginia this year. Coach Calvis reached out and scheduled the Cavaliers on North Carolina's schedule. And it just so happened they played each other in the ITA tournament this past week. 1-1, they split the series between the Tar Heels and the Cavaliers. Syracuse played Boston College, beat them. That didn't count in the ACC battle either. So for both teams, there's 0-0 in ACC play. This is the first matchup, officially.
Yeah, how do you make your non-conference tough for you? Include it in with teams that are in your conference, just so you could get a taste of them. Komodo competing despite being down a 1-0. A little fist bump at the end there from Syracuse's star senior.
That's what you expect. Komodo competes. She's a competitor. She's not supposed to win this game. She knows that. Brant Meyer knows that. Everyone knows that she's not supposed to win this game. But she's playing with a chip on her shoulder like we saw. Even in that last point she lost in the first game. Just hustling, giving it her all. Brant Meyer up right now with a really strong serve. She can do a flat serve. She can do a spin serve. Spin serve is probably a little bit harder to return for her. Komodo's doing a good job and a great shot right there.
Tying it back up in the second game. Komodo.
That shot's hard to make if you're Komodo, working on the backhand, and you're not going cross court, because when you go cross court, the net gets a little bit shorter. If you're hitting straight down the line, backhand and keeping it low, that's a hard shot to perfect, but wasn't even returned by Brant Meyer.
I like the numbers, so I think this is a pretty good illustration of what you just said. You know, Brant Meyer is supposed to win this match, albeit Komodo is great competition. With a win here on number 1 singles, Brant Meyer as a junior would pick up her 50th career singles win. I remind you, she missed part of last year with the torn meniscus. With a win here on number 1 singles, Miyuka Komodo, the senior, would also pick up her 50th win. And she still had a great career, but Brant Meyer is just that far ahead.
She's dominant.
49-8 in her singles career is Brant Meyer headed into today, 7-1 this season. Carolina took the doubles point from the Orange, winning 2 out of 3 matches. So they lead the duel 1-0. Komodo had the lead, but now it's deuce.
That one just got away from her a little bit. Could tell just wasn't quite in the right position to make that shot, just a little too nonchalant on that one.
Talked about it earlier. Komodo just last season when the Orange upset a top 10 NC State team. She took down the number 3 singles player in the country, but the number 10 singles player in the country, Reese Brantmeyer, 2-0 here in this first set against Komodo.
Boy, that was a good serve, that last one. Just painted the line in the corner. Komodo could not return it. Just call ACE ace.
Good spelling.
Thank you.
Coach Calbus looking calm, cool, and collected over on the far side of Drumlins. He's been at Carolina for over 2 decades, former player at Notre Dame. Back in his day, Carolina over this last decade, Riley, has consistently found its way to the Final Four, deep into the tournament. And this group has the talent to do that. But the question is, are they experienced enough to make a deep push this year?
I think whenever you have Brian Kalbas on your sideline, I think you have it. I mean, 84%, that's his winning percentage. That's the highest winning percentage in the ACC women's tennis history. 3-time National Coach of the Year. He's never had an underclassman transfer out of his program. Never.
Tough to say, especially in today's era of college athletics. But the thing I found most interesting about him, you know, you gather the information that 7 of the 10, or what was it, none of the 10 UNC players had ever been to Syracuse.
7 of the 10 have never, right.
Well, Coach Kalbas has been here often, meeting the Orange in ACC play. He loves Syracuse. Specifically, he and his son, who also works with the program as a grad student at Carolina, they love dinosaur barbecue.
I say it's the best in town. We were talking to him before the game. They got in late Wednesday night. He's already been there twice. He said the hotel just happened to be perfectly situated. I don't know if it just happened to be or he scheduled that, but he says
half a mile away.
He says every time they come in, go to Dinosaur Barbecue. Say they get some ribs and brisket, mac and cheese. Coach says he likes the fried catfish the best.
I mean, when you're in Syracuse, you have to go. Hey, they're always giving out food at Drumlin's, and today you didn't want to try the chicken tiki masala.
Well,
not a staple in Kansas?
Not a staple in Kansas. I mean, usually they have the pizza. Oh man, I'm all in on the free pizza. They had that. I wasn't, you know, Ian, I wasn't really sure what it was, to be honest with you.
It did say on the top of the tin what it was, but
well, I had to look in because I wasn't really sure. But yeah, it is what it is. I'd prefer the dinosaur barbecue, but Coach didn't bring us up.
He did not. Had to feed the team. Had to feed himself.
Right.
Here on #1 singles, back to a little tennis because why not? It's 40-30. Miyuka Komodo trying to take a game off a #10 singles player in the country, Reese Brantmeyer. She trails 2-0 over here in the first set. Carolina took the doubles point and they lead the duel 1-0.
Komodo up 40-30. This will be a chance to get back in it right before switching sides. Nice shot.
And she does. And she knows how important that was as she makes her way to the bench. 2-1. And she adjusts the score properly. That's got to be such a satisfying feeling.
2-1 is so different than 3-0, especially when you're switching sides. You almost think of it as 2 games at a time, even though it's point by point. Kind of changes it up. It breaks it up every time you switch sides on those odd games. And winning that last point and winning that game is Coach Eunice Lamam coaching her on. His best player. He's coached her for quite some time. And this would be just another bookmark in her career. She can somehow pull this off early, though.
We'll see how the rest of that match progresses in just a moment. But for now, we head over to court 5, our #4 singles pairing on the day. And it's a freshman for UNC and Alanis Hamilton against sophomore Serafima Shastova for Syracuse. There is Shastova for the Orange. Her first year with the team after she was the ASUN Freshman of the Year at Jacksonville State and up against one of the best young players in the country in Hamilton. It's 3-0 in this first set for the UNC Tar Heel against the Syracuse Orange.
Alanis Hamilton getting a quick taste of big-time tennis. And coming in, she's played well, 6-4 in singles, so maybe losing a little more than some of her teammates, but you'll take that anytime when we're in taking high school classes just a few months ago.
And it's a pretty rigorous school they got down there in Chapel Hill. It's one of the best schools in the country in terms of academia. So it's not like you're taking a step down there either.
I don't think you're ever taking a step down when you're going from high school to college.
There's some pretty good high school education. So Hamilton gets the early start here on the 4th game of the first step, but she can't get that one over the net. So Shastova ties it up. She is 5-1 in singles play this season. Won 13 singles matches for Syracuse before this spring. She is, over this last year, really been a great addition to this squad.
She's comfortable on the baseline. One of the things she's been working on is the confidence when she's running up to get those short balls, to know when to come up and attack and approach the net. But at times, it is just the best strategy to just hang back there, and that's where Shastova is best, at the baseline, but just working in practice, having the confidence and to know and have the mental confidence as well, just to know when to hang back and when to go forward.
Didn't have to go too far forward there, as Hamilton made that one untouchable. So 30 all, and Hamilton, the freshman, in control here on the number 4 singles court, 3-0. Pretty strong forehand off the racket of the 5'10" freshman. Gets dapped up by fellow underclassman Thea Radman. This is the next group of Tar Heels that want to try to make a push at another national title, just like UNC did in 2023.
That was a pretty shot, just made it look easy. Off 1 foot. Kind of dug in there, got under it. Nice topspin, made it untouchable. Oh my goodness, that was a great serve by Shastova.
Competing against Hamilton. One more look, right down Broadway, and it curved right back towards the middle. Had a ton of spin on it.
No way Hamilton was getting that one. That's what you want to do every time. It's easier when you're on that side of the court, though, when you're trying to spin it that way.
And Shastova does secure the point. 3-1 here in this first set. So the game goes to her. And she'll have to continue playing from behind, but cutting the deficit against Hamilton, who's just a natural as a top 10 recruit. Wants to go play in the pros after her time at Carolina is done. And to be honest, it was unsure if Brian Calbus was even going to land her, because she wasn't sure if she wanted to go straight to the pros, which is something she is very interested in doing, or play in college.
Calbus and crew have had success in the past, transitioning them from college to the pro ranks. And she wants to be a pro, and coach says she will be. But after her 4 years here, maybe win a few more championships.
Right. 12 ACC titles for Carolina, including last year. 6 of the last 8 have gone to UNC. But last year did not end the way the Tar Heels wanted. Lost to Texas A&M in the Super Regional, and then pretty much lost their entire starting lineup. Here on number 4 singles court, player who is not on that team, Alanis Hamilton. Falling behind here. Expected to go back towards the middle, maybe the other side of the court, and Shastova just pounded the same spot she hit earlier.
It's a really hard shot to make when you're trying to take it out of the air, because naturally you want to wait, you want to get it in your spot, let it slow down a little bit off the bounce. But when you're so far up, you can't really make that decision. So it's one thing to volley it. It's another thing to just take it out of the air and hit it with as much topspin as you can. It's a really hard shot, difficult shot, but it worked. Just a little bit out.
Then Shastova makes that clear. As Hamilton serves again. And couldn't get that one in the box. So 30 all. Shastova trying to take a second straight game here on number 4 singles. Remember, the orange did drop the doubles point, so it's UNC 1-0 on the duel. Shastova survives a little rally with Hamilton to take the lead, trying to make it 3-2 here in the first set.
Shastova's been hitting it with a lot of pace these last few points. He's being aggressive. Good hustle.
Hamilton couldn't get there as it sailed by her right side. That is back-to-back games for Shastova, and we got a heated battle here on the number 4 singles court.
Well, this is just a great point all around by Serafima Shastova. Running to her left first, running to her right, and then running forward and just hitting it past Hamilton. That's just pure effort.
And that's what you just highlighted, Riley. That's what she's working on. Being able to get those short balls on the run. Couldn't have taken a better angle to that one. We move over to court 6 here, where Syracuse has a lead in the first set. And it belongs to Monica Wojcik, 3-2 against one of the most inexperienced players on UNC, Alana Boyce.
Wojcik just disappears behind the net, looking for
something. But that was actually something that when we talked to Coach Calbas for UNC earlier in the week, Riley, when talking about the difficulties that come with playing in drumlins, that was something that he mentioned. There is not a lot of room between the baseline and the net.
No, and it is an adjustment when you're used to playing on different courts, even when you're playing inside. But in drumlins, the distance between the baseline and the curtains, it's not that much. So it doesn't give you that much give, especially when you have players that like to stretch it out and maybe hit from further behind the baseline on some more points where you are running all around. But even at his time at William and Mary, he just said he's been here quite a few times. I mean, we talked about he knows his restaurant spots he likes to go to, but he says the courts have changed also. When he was with William and Mary, he remembers that 3 courts were really slow and 3 courts were really fast. So he would have his clay court players play on the slow courts and the hard-hitting players play on the fast courts. But since then, now they're pretty much all the same speed, so they've standardized that out. But they do have tight room to work between the baseline and the curtains.
Yeah, Calbas played at Notre Dame in the 80s alongside his brother, who is also on the Fighting Irish. Then he coached William and Mary for 11 years throughout the 90s. Has been with the Tar Heels for 22 seasons. Here on the number 6 singles court, Syracuse has a lead. Monica Wojcik, the freshman out of Florida, 3-2 against a fellow first year, Alana Boyce, also from down south. Huntsville, Alabama is where she reigns from. She's got a winning record in singles play this season, 7-5 for a 5-star recruit. Surprise, surprise. They pretty much all are for the Tar Heels. She does lead 40-30 here in this game, though. Wojcik, you know, Coach Lamont talked about her when we had a chance to catch up with him earlier in the week. And the biggest advice that he has for her right now at this stage of a game is the mental side of things.
Seems to, I mean, just when she's came in, freshman, she's a really hard worker. But one thing that comes with that, he just says, sometimes just a little too hard on herself. Sometimes you just got to let those last points go and focus on to the next one. Comes from a tennis family, though, through and through.
Yeah, she had a racket in her hand since she could walk, according to her parents. And actually moved from Arizona to Delray Beach, Florida when she was 4 because her older brother played at South Florida. So her parents moved the whole Wojcik family across the country to be a little closer to her brother. And she did not expect, if she did play college tennis, to end up all the way up at Syracuse, but she met Coach Eunice Lamam at an international competition in North Africa 2 years ago, believed in his vision, and now she has a chance to pick up a win in singles against #3 team in the country.
Coach Lamam likes to recruit those international players, so it makes sense that one of the only Americans on the team actually found her in Africa, overseas.
Right. She is in Wojcik. I mean, she might be from Florida, but over the summer in her youth career, she was anywhere but America. She was competing in Europe, Africa, played over 60 matches a summer, which, you know, there's like 60, 90 days in the summer. So it was nonstop tennis for her, and she got herself out on the international stage, and that's where Eunice Lamam found her. Boyce is fighting back here, though, for UNC. When we got here to #6 singles, it was 3-2 Wojcik, and now Boyce has tied it up in the first set, and in the 7th game is doing pretty well for herself.
Alana Boyce fighting back. These two players are bright spots in the future for both of these programs.
When we went up and down the roster for Coach Calabas earlier this week, he said that Boyce is going to get her opportunities, given just how hard she has worked, even when they're not playing in duels. Break point for Boyce. Wojcik needs one more try to get it over the net. Came into the day a perfect 6-0 in singles play, trying to avoid her first loss of her collegiate career. And she staves it off for just a few more seconds. Carolina did take the doubles point earlier in the duel, so it is 1-0 UNC on the game. Trying to improve to 8-3 on the year. They are the #3 team in the country. Syracuse trying to avoid their first loss in a duel all spring. They are 7-0, but this is their ACC opener.
Only set that's wrapped up so far. It's the #1 singles. Breeze Brantmeyer wins 6-1 against Miyuka Komodo, so now they're on to their second set.
And if Brantmeyer wins that one, after she also secured a victory on doubles court #1 for UNC, then it would be 2-0 Carolina on the duel. Boyce, perfect spot in a long rally to secure the break point on #6 singles.
She was just waiting for that opportunity, back and forth, until she sees a spot. Yeah, I can hit it right there. That'll finish it off, win the point, win the game.
The freshman gaining confidence, helping her Tar Heels in their first match in ACC play. They take a break over there, so we shift gears to the #1 singles court like we just talked about. Breeze Brantmeyer took the first set against Miyuka Komodo, who's got her work cut out for her against the #10 singles player in the country. This is the only one of these singles matches, like you alluded to, Riley, that has gotten to a second set. Even against Syracuse's stiffest competition, Brantmeyer is making it look easy. Missed 11 months of competitive play with a torn meniscus. Missed the majority of the fall as well. You can still see the sleeve on her right leg on the far side of your screen, but she is back. Komodo knots it up early on in this second set.
Starting from scratch when it's 0-0.
While they're still battling on the #1 singles court, let's check out court #2 in singles play. First time we've had a chance to check in on Syracuse's Anastasia Sisaweva and UNC's probably best known commodity, Carson Tangillig, the number 32 singles player in the country. Who's on the serve? And like you highlighted earlier in the match, this is a strong rally between these two. Tangillig trying to snap a losing streak in singles play. Backhands like that will definitely help the cause.
Tangillig playing at the #3 spot this season. And that shot just where it needs to be. A little bit of frustration on the other side of it. That's what happens when you're playing one of the best in the country. 3-time All-American. Doubles, NCAA doubles championship win in 2023 with Fiona Crowley, who was the #1 player in the nation.
I mean, her and Brantmeyer are the only key pieces left from that national championship team. Only 2 of 3 upperclassmen on the entire roster this year, but Carson Tangillig with a chance. She already picked up her 100th career win in doubles play earlier in the match. And if she can seal the deal against Sisaweva, she has a strong lead here in the first set. It would be her 100th ever win in singles play at the collegiate level. That one just gets away from her. Sisaweva still fighting. And we talked about it even before we got on the air, Riley. For such a talented player in Sisaweva, only 1 in 4 in singles so far this spring.
It's been a rocky road for Anastasia Sisaweva. Just hasn't really been able to put it together in singles play. She's faced some good opponents, but it's just they've gotten away from her. She's played well and really well in doubles, actually. So it's kind of a little bit of a disconnect because tennis isn't always just tennis, no matter if it's singles or doubles. It's a lot different because when it's singles, it's all you. When it's doubles, it's about communication, it's about movement, it's about even plays. But just in the singles, just hasn't quite been able to put it together. 1 in 4 on the season, but still playing at that #3 spot.
And she's starting to get a little frustrated there as UNC's coach gives her an assist. Brian Calbus flipping the ball back to her. She did take the last game off Tangillig, but still trails 5-3 here in the first set. Syracuse trails on the duel 1-0 after UNC took the doubles point.
That one just moved late. Didn't have her feet moving, just moved too late. Wasn't there in the right position. It was off from the beginning.
Tangillig just stoic over there as Sisaweva is trying to work through some issues on her end of the court. The Tar Heels over the last 5 seasons have lost an ACC regular season duel just twice. #3 team in the country paying Syracuse a visit today, and Tangillig benefiting from orange mental errors. And she takes this first set 6-3. That's the second Tar Heel to take a set Off an orange player, Tan Gillig here on the number 3 singles court, and her upperclassman teammate, Brant Meyer, on the number 1 singles court as well.
Tan Gillig knows she got in Sisoeva's head a little bit, just by the way. A lot of it is body language as well, because at the end of the day, it is 1 versus 1. So it's one mind versus the other. You can kind of tell what your opponent is thinking, and when you can tell what your opponent is thinking and it's not good, kind of gives you a little boost.
Well, some more mental woes for the Orange here for Serafima Shastova, who trails in the first set to Alanis Hamilton. Hamilton not only in front 5-3 in the first set, but 40-0 here in this game. So she is oh so close to a victory on singles court number 4.
Hard serve to start off. Nice way to finish it off by Alanis Hamilton. Backhand finish at the net.
The freshman trying to pick up her 7th ever victory in singles play, and she's just a set away from doing it. That is now 3 Tar Heels that have quickly taken the first set off a Syracuse player. It's still 1-0 on the duel. The Tar Heels have the doubles point. They have not picked up a singles victory yet, but Hamilton, Brant Meyer, and we just saw a few minutes ago, Tan Gillig, they are in the driver's seat to picking up victories in singles play. Over on court 1, first time we've checked in on this duo, and they are in the middle of a long rally. And Tatum Evans on the near side of your screen outlasts Shiori Ito, and she is on her way with just 1 more point of taking down Ito in the first set of this number 5 singles battle.
All these first sets seem to be wrapping up. Started pretty close, it seemed, across the board with everyone. Now it seems like a couple of them are just pulling away on the North Carolina side, with the exception of Thea Radman and Nelly Knezkova, who are knotted up at 3 apiece in that number 2 slot. This is the number 5 slot.
It was set point, but Evans couldn't get it over the Tate. So Ito clinging here in the first set, down 5-1. Her competition is Evans, the sophomore, originally from the DMV area in Northern Virginia. Ito, Syracuse senior, been here all 4 years from just outside of Tokyo.
Saitama, Japan. 1.3 million people in Saitama, Japan.
Ito called that one out, and she'll take a game off of Evans and stay alive in the first set on number 5 singles. Still 1-0 UNC on the duel. Tar Heels took the doubles point from the Orange, winning 2 of 3. That's all you need. On a couple of the other courts, though, it has been all UNC in singles play. Over on court 6, Monica Wojcik giving Alana Boyce everything she can handle in a freshman-on-freshman battle, which has taken a bit of a pause as Wojcik is looking for a couple of spare balls behind the net. 5-3, Boyce leads Wojcik in the first set, but Wojcik is ahead 30-15 in this game. And she'll take those lapses from Boyce anytime she can get them.
Wojcik rolling, it's a big mental boost when you win games that you're returning.
Boyce getting back in this game. She's just 2 points away from picking up the first set here on number 6 singles. Trying to improve to 8-5 in her young collegiate career in singles play. Boyce and her backhand get the job done there. 40 all.
All day, Boyce and Wojcik have been going back and forth. Great rallies at the baseline. Neither one wanting to be too aggressive. Especially Wojcik, if she's just trying to force Boyce to make mistakes, which she has made a few in this game. Boyce still on top. It's a big point.
And a frustrated Wojcik slams her racket into the court after she could not keep that rally alive. And it's Boyce who takes the first set in number 6 singles. 6-3. That's now 4 Tar Heels who have taken the first set against the Orange, and it's starting to weigh on them.
Just frustration boiling over for Monica Wojcik, and that's a tough one, especially when you're at deuce. You have a chance to go win a game and go 4-5, but then you lose the set. It's 1-0, starts all over again.
Back over on the number 5 singles court. Shiori Ito on the near side of your screen for Syracuse. Matched up with Tatum Evans. And Evans on the serve.
Figuring out that toss for a second serve. She has a really hard first serve.
Still pretty hard the second time. We're into the second set here after Evans took the first, 6-2. Ito, one of Syracuse's most consistent in singles play, 6-1 on the year and 45 singles victories for the senior throughout her collegiate career. Evans is her opponent. This is just her 6th ever singles match. Check that, 6th this season. Sophomore.
Evans has some pretty impressive wins, especially in the fall. She beat the number 4 and 5 players in the country from Stanford and Oklahoma State in the same day. It's a pretty good day.
It's gotta rank up there in terms of her greatest days ever, I gotta think. Number 35 on the ITA's singles rankings this season. She's a ranked player nationally in both singles and in doubles.
3-2 though this spring.
And dropped a doubles matchup earlier this afternoon against Syracuse's Serafima Shestova and Monica Wojcik. What do you think she's hearing right now from her head coach?
I think it's just, you know what you have. You've seen what you're going against. Just got to stick with your tools that you've been using all season long. I mean, it's across the board, Ian. North Carolina is the more talented team. So if Syracuse is going to win, it's going to be a lot by effort, and it's going to be a lot mentally too. So if you're North Carolina, you have to stay mentally strong and know that this is a team that's trying to knock you off. It's a game that a lot of teams have scheduled on their calendars. Circled.
Well, the schedule is a part of the calendar. First time this afternoon we've taken a gander at the number 2 singles court. And this is arguably the best matchup that we've seen. It's just one of 2 singles matches that is yet to go to a second set, and it's because Thea Radman is getting everything that Nelly Knezkova has right now for the Orange. They are tied up at 4 games apiece in this first set.
That's what we talked about earlier, that aggressiveness paying off. Got to make North Carolina uncomfortable. She's making Thea Radman uncomfortable, making her make those tough shots, especially right there. She's just in control the whole time. Beautiful serve to set up the beautiful play at the net. Great all around from Nelly Knezkova. That's how she's winning this game. She's now ahead 40-30, tied 4 games apiece. That whole point, in control.
This could be Knezkova's best result of her young career. Radman is the 13th ranked singles player in the country. 6-1 record headed into this one. Sophomore, originally from Long Island. Coming back to her home state in a way. Or a little far from the island. And matching up with an up-and-comer for Syracuse and a fellow sophomore in Knezkova in her first year with the Orange. Transferred from Hawaii in the offseason. And Radman, you know, her fellow doubles pair, Tatum Evans, she shook off a rocky performance in doubles play and is dominating Shiori Ito. But from what we caught of that doubles match earlier, Riley, Radman was not at her best.
Didn't seem to be. It's one thing that she's kind of struggled with this spring especially is just closing out those close matches. That seems to be a struggle so far. Just when you're back and forth, like in this one, just closing it out. That one dribbles off the net, goes out. Knezkova takes the lead.
5-4, number 2 singles. Nelly trying to improve to 7-1 in singles play this season. And Thea Radman's not helping herself. Could not return, trying to stretch out towards the alley there off a good volley from Knezkova. How does, regardless of what's happening around her and Syracuse struggling in singles play as a whole right now, how does Nelly get the job done here?
I think you just got to focus on your court. I mean, you see the scores on the other courts all across the board. Syracuse is down, North Carolina is up. This is a chance to put yourself on the map against the number 13 player in the country.
Then on the other side of the bench, you've got assistant coach Thompson, former William and Mary headman, talking things over with Thea Radman. And what do you think he's talking about with her right now?
I think you just got to stick to your stuff. 6-1 on the season. Only player you've lost to is from a really good Virginia squad. This one's still pretty early. It's not done yet.
1-0 on the duel because North Carolina took the doubles point, and this is our singles scoreboard. Number 1 singles, number 3 singles, number 5 singles. All of them but the match we just showed you. Carolina took the first set.
Carolina's been dominating just across the board. First one, Brett Meyer Komodo a little bit closer in the second set. Knezkova in this one has a chance to close out the first set as she returns from Thea Radman.
Knezkova continuing to play well. Originally by way of Prague in the Czech Republic, and she's been well traveled from Prague to Hawaii to Central New York. She's performing very well for the Orange this spring.
In the fall, too. I mean, her and Serafina Shastova led the Orange in wins in the fall. Those two new coming transfers.
22 wins in the fall for Shastova, 20 for Knezkova. Bringing some international flair to this orange team.
Those 2 portal gets have been very beneficial for Syracuse. Grabbing a good backhand, but even better one on the other side by Knezkova.
So it's now 30 love for Knezkova. Close to taking this first set.
There's another point.
And although Coach Thompson had a chance to catch up with Radman in between games, she is still struggling here late in this first set. 5-star recruit a couple years ago, best player coming out of the Empire State from Port Washington on Long Island.
Right now, Nelly Knezkova just looks like the better player. She's playing some really good tennis this year.
You pick up a win like this to start ACC play, and Syracuse does not have a single player ranked by the ITA in singles play, but Nelly is the kind of player that could get there.
Yeah, if she can close this out, definitely bump her up. And that just does something to your personal confidence, too. Getting your first big win in the ACC against a team like this, against a player like this, and just even keeping it competitive, you know that you can compete with the best. And she's only a sophomore. She has a long ways to go for Syracuse, and I know Eunice Lamam was smiling after he's seen what she's done so far in singles this year and what she's doing today as well.
It's set point, and Radman's got to get this serve down. Knezkova can't hit the baseline.
That was pretty interesting for Radman going with the 2-hand slice backhand cross court. I wasn't sure how that one was going to pan out, but it ended up working because it forced Knezkova to hit it long, and it went out.
A lot of heat on that serve. It could not make its way over the net. Set point still for Nelly. Up 5-4. This is the only singles match that has not gotten to a second set yet. The slice. And too much sauce on it again on the Syracuse side of things.
Well, it all started with the serve up front, because on the first serve, it was short, and even if it did go over, it was going to be too far inside. It would have landed in the wrong box. So Radman noticed that. She got her toss higher, and she adjusted it more to the right side so it would be in the box. She almost overcorrected it, but it ended up landing right where it needed to be. Nothing too fancy or too hard on that second serve. As you see, a great first serve. Gets to the point and the game. Ties it up, back at 5 apiece.
Radman figuring things out at the wrong time for Nelly Knezkova. And she's happy chatting with Tyler Thompson right now, one of Brian Calvis's assistant coaches. Whatever he said in between games seemed like they ended up paying off. Carolina leads the duel 1-0. They took the doubles point with 2 victories out of 3. And the Tar Heels, on every singles court except this one, took the first set. UNC is on its way, unless there's a dramatic comeback in store from the Orange, of winning their ACC opener. Does not get easier for the Orange later this weekend. Sunday morning, a fellow team from down on Tobacco Road made the trip up. Number 14 Duke. Check that, number 10 Duke. The rankings adjusting yesterday for the ITA. Knezkova on for the serve.
Nice smash. Track that all the way in the air under the bright lights and send it home.
Yeah, off of 1 foot. 30 love for her deep into this first set.
None of her shots on that point really had a lot of spin. It was just power, and she executed it all the way through.
Trying to prove where she belongs in the ACC in the national rankings against the number 13 ranked singles player in the country in Thea Radman. Backhand city, and Knezkova just dominating here in what could be the final game of the first set. Needs to be decided by 2 or more, so even if Nelly takes this, still got 1 more in the first set between her and Radman.
And if we go 6-6, that's when we go to the tiebreak.
On every other singles court, Carolina took the first set. Number 3 team in the country got the doubles point too. They stay in the Northeast this weekend as well. On Sunday, they make the trip to Chestnut Hill, which Syracuse made in non-conference play a couple weeks ago. Second serve for Knezkova. Radman puts her in the corner and is fighting back deep into this first set.
That's what Radman does. She can do. She can come back. Looked like Knezkova had it for those first couple points. Last 2, though, Radman's been putting her in difficult spots.
When we talked to Coach Lamam earlier this week, while he's really complimentary of his sophomore, does want to see her, get into some longer rallies and be a little stronger on the defensive end. And when you're playing sets as long as these, that's never more important. Beautiful forehand from Radman, who's knotted it up at 40 after falling behind 40 love.
That was nicely done. She knew when to stay back and went to attack and move forward. Nothing too hard at the net, just put it in that back corner. She knew Knezkova wasn't going to get to.
One nothing on the duel. Tar Heels took the doubles point. Still in search of their first victory in singles play. Good backhand from Knezkova, and she gives out a shout as she takes the lead into this first set, 6-5. Needs 1 more to take the set entirely.
Pretty nice from Knezkova coming out, getting that win, especially when it's knotted up at 5 apiece. It's a good point to win. She's pumped up.
Against some of, if not the stiffest competition of her collegiate career. And she had an answer there against the number 13 ranked singles player in the country.
Didn't need to hit a winner either. It's made Radman uncomfortable, forced her to take a tough shot. Tough shot, went up, went out.
Both players taking a breather, getting some advice from assistants. For UNC, it's Tyler Thompson with Radman. And she's just trying to fight. Her Carolina teammates are having success on the other side of singles play. On all of the other courts, Carolina took the first set from Syracuse. You only need 3 victories in singles play if you get the doubles point to win the duel. Carolina trying to improve to 8-3, snap a 2-duel losing streak after dropping the final 2 matches of the ITA Indoor Championship a couple weeks ago. And Syracuse, after a perfect start in non-conference play, 7-0, in danger of dropping its first duel of the spring.
Both these teams are good wins on a resume. Syracuse coming in 7-0 undefeated. Solid squad. And North Carolina obviously 7-3, but ranked number 3 in the nation.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny that Carolina went to the ITA Indoor Championship 6-1, left 7-3, and went up
Right.
4 spots in the rankings because the competition in that 16-team field is ridiculous. Orange are ranked 32nd in the country, so to reinforce your point, there are no slouches either, just outside the top 25. Number 10 Duke comes to town Sunday morning, and then a week from today you got Miami as it's ACC from here on out. All of that is in Drumlins. You can catch that Sunday duel right here on ACC Network Extra as well. Knezkova 2 points away from taking the first set off a number 13 ranked singles player in the country. And Thea Radman.
There you go, 1 point away from the first set.
Carolina closing in on a singles victory on court 6. To give you an update, Alana Boyce close to taking down Monica Wojcik in 2 sets. We'll get you there in just a moment.
Nice shot, painting the line. She attacks, just a little too early. Radman recognized it, knew where she had to put the ball, knew where she couldn't get it. Great job to put it back in that corner, just a little too far wide that she couldn't get it. Because it's easy when you're hitting it that way and you're pointing toward the corner that you go through the middle and right where Knezkova was. It was a nice job just lofting it around a little bit to get it around her and out of the reach and get a point.
Still set point for Nelly as she awaits the serve. Drumlin's cheering on Nelly Knezkova. She turned up the gas and outlasts Thea Radman 7-5 in the first set. But quickly we bring you over to court 6 where things are not going as well for Syracuse. It's 40 love in the second set, where it's 5-0 for Alana Boyce of UNC. She's matched up with Monica Wojcik for Syracuse. It did help the Orange pick up their only victory in doubles. Has not found as much success in singles. (40-15), Wojcik still behind. But now only 40-30, albeit it is match point for Boyce.
Some players, when they're down, they just start playing super conservative, try to do anything to make the opponent make the mistake and do anything in their power to not hit the ball out. But Wojcik not letting anything off the gas. She's hitting it probably harder than she does normally.
Wojcik 6-0 in her young collegiate career in singles play, but on the verge of her first loss. Not going away quietly until then. It's 2-0 Carolina on the duel. They pick up their first win in singles on the number 6 court, and it's Alana Boyce who improves to 8-5 in the Battle of Freshmen on her singles record this season. So from court number 6 to number 1 in singles play, Miyuki Komodo is on the ropes against Reese Brantmeyer, 10th ranked singles player in the country for Carolina, who's on the verge of making it 3-0 Tar Heels on the duel. And that's exactly what she does. In 2 sets, Reese Brantmeyer picks up her 8th singles victory of the spring, the 50th of her collegiate career.
Reese Brantmeyer is going to shoot up in these rankings pretty soon. She is one of the best, if not the best, singles player in the whole entire country.
2-time All-American, working her way back from a torn meniscus, and like Coach Calbis told us earlier this week, she is playing her best tennis right now. Not bad on the timing front, considering this is the ACC opener for both teams. Like you just saw, thanks to those back-to-back singles victories for Boyce and Brantmeyer, it's 3-0 on the duel. One more victory in singles, and Carolina clinches its 8th win of the season. In Syracuse, its first loss. Carolina trying to stay undefeated all time against SU, 14-0. We're just about to pick things back up on the number 2 singles court, where for Carolina, Carson Tangillig has had a really strong back and forth with Syracuse junior Anastasia Sisaweva. She's on the serve, down 4-3 here in the second set.
Orange needs something big to happen if they're going to come back here. North Carolina in control pretty much across the board.
Tangillig, that backhand doing her good. Trying to snap a 2-game slide in singles play. A tough end of the ITA Indoor Championship, but trying to pick things back up here in Drumlins.
That was a really nice shot. Here you're going to see it, this next one on the backhand. Opposite side corner. Just fires it in right there. Not much room to work if she would have hit it any further. But right where she wanted it. Right where Sisaweva wasn't.
Sisaweva's knotted it up at 15. And trying to tie things up at 4 games apiece in the second set against a nationally ranked singles player in Tangillig. Cannot keep it within the lines. And Tangillig back in front on the number 3 singles court. Sisaweva trying to pick up her 20th victory in singles play at Syracuse. Second year with the Orange after transferring from Florida, where she was as a freshman 2 years ago. The ball's just flying.
Difficult shot, and that's what we talked about earlier with the short distance between the baseline and the curtain. That's when you have to make that difficult shot and jump up and try to get it, because if you had more room to work, you'd back up further and try to get a better set shot.
Those were the words of Tar Heels head man Brian Calvis when we talked to him earlier this week. And you got to get used to playing on the road, and his team has had its ups and downs on the road this season. Sisaweva knots it up at 40. Check that, Tangillig getting the better there of Sisaweva.
Coach Calvis, 6-time ACC Coach of the Year, 6 Final Fours, over 45 All-America selections.
Finally got that first national title 2 years ago. Tangillig winning the final point of that duel and winning the national doubles championship as well, like you mentioned earlier in the broadcast.
She did that as a sophomore. Now, a seasoned vet.
Seasoned vet who is on her way to clinching the duel for Carolina, improves to 5-3 in this second set, and she is just one set victory away from making it 4-0 UNC on the duel, which would be all the Tar Heels need to pick up the win on the road. Defeated the #1 team in the country on the road earlier this month in Georgia. And an unreturnable serve.
That was a nice serve
from Tangillig. I mean, when you've been playing since you were 4 years old, you figure out a few things with that serve.
Going just a little bit out, but if you're Carson Tangillig, this is the best part of the match. You know you're up, you're in control, just so close to clinching the match for your team, and going home smiling. Maybe getting some barbecue on you.
Coach Calvis loves coming to Dinosaur Barbecue. We already told you that whenever he's up at Syracuse. Can he make it 3 times in 3 days? They got to make their way up to well, not up, but east to Massachusetts to play Boston College Sunday morning. Could be a little tight.
I think yes, squeeze it.
Always put in that to-go order. Eat it on the bus.
It's never as good, though, to go. It's never as good. Doesn't matter where it is.
Okay, Tar Heels haven't been as good on the road. Trying to get back to 500 away from Chapel Hill. Tangillig helping the cause. 2 points away from winning her singles match against Sisaweva, winning the 3rd singles match for Carolina, which would make it 4-0 on the duel.
It's a nice job moving her feet by Sisaweva to get that first one, but just too slow on the recovery.
Tangillig also on the precipice of making a little personal history for herself. This would be her 100th collegiate singles win.
And she got Sisaweva off balance.
And that's all she needed. It's match point.
So that happened twice, where Sisaweva just got off balance. Could have probably finished her off the first time, but they rallied a little bit more. And right when she takes that step back, her balance isn't in the center of her body. That's when Tangillig just took advantage, hit to the opposite side, because she knew that she wasn't going to get back in time.
Blink and you miss it. That's the duel.
That's it.
The 3-time All-American Carson Tangillig takes down Anastasia Sisaweva on #3 singles. That's the 3rd singles victory for Carolina on the afternoon. And combine that with the doubles point victory as well. It is 4-0 Tar Heels, an insurmountable deficit for the Orange, who drops its first duel of the season. 7-1 for Syracuse. Carolina 4, an 8-3 record now on the season. Tangillig seals the deal. 4-0 Carolina on the match. The current score is an insurmountable one for Syracuse. Number 3 North Carolina wins the doubles point, wins its first 3 singles matches, and the 4-0 lead does the trick for UNC. Let's take a look at how the Tar Heels blitzed the Orange in singles play, Riley.
That was just an all-around dominating performance, and it started with the first one that was done, Alana Boyce, dominating the second set against Monica Wojcik.
That was on the number 6 singles court. On the number 2 singles court, lone bright spot for Syracuse, Nelly Knezkova against a top 15 ranked singles player in the country.
Nelly Knezkova still going in that second set. That 7-5 first set was a really good victory for Syracuse.
The rest of the matches, unfortunately, were abandoned, so Knezkova can remember that, but can't say that she overcame Radman in 2 sets. The second set victory in singles was for Brant Meyer on the number 1 court for UNC against Komodo for the Orange, and then the serve that sealed it for Carson Tangillig against Anastasia Sisueva. So 4-0 your final score from Drumlins, and the Orange are going to be right back here in a couple days against another top 10 team from North Carolina in Duke.
That's going to be the second major challenge that Syracuse has faced this season. It gets a little easier when you play Miami, but that Duke game is a really tough one, and I think you got to take some lessons from this one. And that you played North Carolina, even though the scoreboard doesn't say it, you didn't play them too bad. I think that this North Carolina squad is more talented than the Duke one, so I think you can go in with some confidence playing the Blue Devils.
The Orange are going to try to pick up their first ever win against the Blue Devils. Could not do that today against the Tar Heels, who improved to 15-0 all time against Syracuse, even on the road in Drumlins. It did not matter for the Tar Heels. For my partner, Riley Underwood, our producer, David Tasca, and the rest of our ACC Network Extra crew, Ian Nicholas signing off as a frustrated Orange drops its first duel of the season to number 3, UNC.